Everything about the film is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to come up with a better adjective to describe it because it's so much more.
No, I think it's. Listen, I think it's a really, really special piece of work. I know your website. You know your. I don't know. Do we call it website or do we call it a platform? I don't know what we call it. Whatever it is. But it's about acting. But the truth is that it's always about writing and directing, and this is the most extraordinary story told in an extraordinary way, and we just. I don't know, we're lucky enough to be carried along by the wave, the four of us. We just got out of the way. We got our own shtick and our bags of tricks and just parked them at the door and tried to tell this story honestly and let the power and humanity of this story unfold. And I feel odd even talking about process and the rest of it. I don't fucking know what we did, man. Honestly, it feels like I was in some strange kind of blackout. Sometimes if you're really, really lucky, the ley lines cross and writing and directing and acting all just gel and something better than any individual ingredient comes out, and that's what happened this time.
I saw that you were the one who actually contacted the director about the script. How did you find the script?
Well, it's very interesting that's the story that Fran tells, because I don't remember it that way at all. We both were the same agency, so someone put us together. I seem to remember somebody saying that he'd like to meet you, and then he remembers me having read the script. He's much younger with a better memory, so that makes more sense, I suppose, that it would happen that way. I remember us meeting somewhere. I do remember reading it and just being... I don't know, but the words are so inadequate. You reach these cliched phrases, blown away or devastated or inspired or whatever it was. Just being affected and overwhelmed by its power and complexity and the hope it offered, despite the pain of the characters involved, the kind of growth and change that they were, they managed to find in however small and piecemeal a way. It was so sophisticated and so feral. So kind of. Venal in the what's eventually uncovered when all the layers get stripped away, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe some first-time writer had written it. I didn't have any confidence that it would either get made or work as a film, but I knew that this is the reason I became an actor. These things come along, once in a lifetime. Once in a blue moon. Somebody telling a story that is both as engaging, thrilling, suspenseful, and human, with some purpose. I mean, people do tell great stories, and you think, but why have you told it? What are you putting in the world? And what this story engages with is division. How to carry blame and hate in your heart only really damages the blamer and the hater. And in a country, in a world which is increasingly divided, inside households as well as across political landscapes, this kind of plea for recognizing our shared humanity just felt like it had, not only dramatic but just real value, outside of the narrative value.
I read, and I'm an actor too, and I completely understood the statement that you said that you would be horrified, or you were terrified about taking this role.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's embarrassing to pull the curtain back, but many of the times I get asked to do things, there's some vague amalgamation or reconfiguration of things that I've done before, and I know I'm going to get away with it, whatever I do, and it may or may not be good or interesting, but it's never going to be much of a stretch. It's not going to demand of me to appeal, to go to places I've not gone. And I looked at this and I thought...
But it pays the bills those times.
Yeah, and it's fine, and it's enjoyable, and sometimes they're good stories. And, by the way, great projects don't have to be a stretch for the actor. It's the audience's experience that count, but this needed all of the actors to do something, to strip all their artifice away and to get to the heart of things in ways that were... I don't mean the characters are earnest, by the way. They're absolutely crippled with layers of self-denial and manipulation and trying to manage each other and stuff. It's just that it required a level of truth, and that everyone left their bags of tricks at home and arrived raw. And I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't. And then when I found out the people who were going to be in it, and I'm such a big fan I admire them so much, and I'd seen such authenticity they brought to work before. I got even more scared, But it turns out that a rising tide lifts all boats, and you look at these other three actors, and they are in the moment. They're in the scene. When we rehearsed, and I say that word in inverted commas, when we really built the backstory, when we built the foundations, what was going on outside the room for these people, what had gone on outside the room for Martha and I, and what the therapist had told us to say, and when we were going off topic, what were the trigger points. We built those things. Just get in the room and just let it unfold, and then anybody could go in any direction at any point, crying, laughing, shouting, walking about. No one knew what anyone was going to do, and we all felt you felt safe in front of everyone else, that they were going to keep you grounded and real.
This could easily be turned into a play, I feel like.
Well, I don't want to contradict you, but I'm going to say you're wrong. No, it might get turned into a play, but the reason it couldn't is that this is all about lies and self-deception. And the camera can see things that an audience in the theatre could never see. They can see inside people. They can see when you're lying. You can see the minute gestures and just the flickers of the eye of worry when someone seems to be going off-piste, or the plans aren't going well, when people are trying desperately to hold on to themselves. And we don't move for a lot of the film. And in a play, you'd be forced to express what was going on with body language and standing up and moving around the room. And this is a film about a conversation. It may occupy an enormous shifting emotional landscape, but we barely move. And I don't think you can do that in a play.
You kind of mentioned this, but the cast spends a lot of time listening to each other. But watching you guys, the listening is so active. You know what I mean?
I do. Well, that's because when most people listen, it's because they're thinking they want to talk. So when you're listening, you're both numbers of things going on. You're thinking, I need you to say something else. That's not what I don't want you to say. That I want you to say this. And then you go, when do I interrupt to re-steer what's going on, because that is just not what I fucking want you to say. In this particular encounter, I'm in there as a manager. Like I'm there to manage my wife, and I'm there to manage these people, because I think, I'm all about solutions and fixing things. And little do I know the forces that are really at play in me, and the denial I've been living in, and how unaware I am of my own emotional needs. But when I'm listening, I'm thinking, no, that's not what you should be saying, and I'm going to make you say the thing I need you to say, because I'm going to persuade you of it. And so when Martha's listening, half the time she arrives so angry, so utterly full of contempt and anger, and not ready to listen to any of this justifications or rationalizations. She won't hear anything about how they would, try to be decent parents. They're to blame. And so when they're talking, she's thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? I think that's that's what they call active listening, or a very, I think active listening is a more constructive thing than what we're doing. It's destructive listening that we're doing most of the time.
You have this monologue about how your son died, and it's just gut-wrenching. I mean, it's just holy crap. Did you rehearse that on your own, or sort of do you internally know what you want to do and then just go for it when the cameras roll? Because
neither.
It was just brilliant, man.
No, well, that's very kind of you, but no, neither. I don't plan anything. When people speak. Sorry, I'm teaching you. You're an actor, you know this, but maybe someone reading it might not know if you have young actors watching reading. I don't know if I'm going to say a word or a sentence or two. Nobody starts speaking and thinks, oh, now I'm making a speech. This answer I'm giving you might come back in with something to re-steer my answer, or you might listen and I might talk for 5 minutes. So he doesn't know what he's going to say. He doesn't know why he's saying it. And by the way, he wasn't planning on saying any of this shit. Just he's so irritated at the point that happens. He's so infuriated by this other person's attitude, and what he thinks of as this other person's attitude, more to the point, what he thinks the other person is thinking, that he just needs to force the other guy to realize something. And all I'm thinking when I'm talking is to make this guy admit that he doesn't know, that he's thoughtless, to make the other guy admit that he's been insensitive, to make the other guy horrified. I'm trying to break him. I'm not expressing myself. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to say what I'm going to say. It's a bit like, I hope it's never happened to you, but I've made speeches at my mother's funeral. And I'm like, well, I'll get through this, it's fine. And then I started speaking, and something comes up from your feet, and then you think, wait, no, I was fine. I don't need to. And it mugs you. And he starts speaking because he's got something to say to the other guy, to make the guy apologize and admit that he has, not thought this through. But a force takes me over, and I'm leaning into it. It's a bit like when you're punching someone and they're out unconscious and you keep punching. I'm driven by something I don't understand and need to make the guy realize how much worse things are than he's acknowledged. But all of that is about him. It's not about me. It's about the other guy. So I didn't practice anything. You don't practice moments like that. You just let it come out. Who knows? I didn't know if I was going to be calm or shout or cry or anything. And we did different takes in different ways. Just tried to be truthful in the moment.
Oh man, that was just such a great moment. Did you guys film everything in order, basically?
Well, we did film the main big dialogue, which is one scene, in order in 8 days. Although we had to break it up, and it was a nightmare because the walls close in, and it ebbs and flows, but it reaches an emotional pitch, and to have to stop at 5 o'clock every day and start again the next morning was just awful. But the beginning and end of the film we shot on the first day, and that was very odd and difficult for Martha and I to choose to imagine how to what mood we'd be in, what state we'd be in at the end of the conversation. We didn't know. I mean, we're guessing at that point, so we try and do a few different choices, and how emotional to be or how drained we'd be or anything. So that was tough. But I mean, most films are shot out of order. They're just not normally this complex and emotional. But the main sequence, we shot in order. I can't imagine doing it any other way because you just didn't know where you're going to get to.
And I only have you for a couple more minutes, but I just have a question that I love asking everybody I talk to. What's been your worst audition ever?
Oh, fuck. There's thousands of them. It never ends. They still continue. I mean, when you no longer are asked to read for auditions, but you meet people, I find it exponentially worse because you know that you're not really having a chat. What they're really doing is thinking whether you're going to be this character, and all you want to go is, well, obviously I'm not this fucking character. I'm an actor who's having a chat with you. Because I'm not a Second World War spy or an alien. Whatever it is that you're looking for, I'm not that guy. But my worst audition was for a commercial where I went in and a guy in tortoiseshell specs and a black polo neck said to me, so we're doing a kind of Rudolph Nureyev thing where the guy is riding across the desert on a camel, comes across the fort, jumps off the fort, climbs up the outside of the portcullis, and then has a sword fight, and then jumps onto an awning which rips. He swings across, swings through the window of the tower, fights a couple of people on the staircase going up the tower, goes into the room. There's the damsel in distress, reaches into his robes, and in that way that Nureyev would kind of squint his eyes and the whole of America will orgasm, pulls out a box of chocolates and offers it to her. And I went, wow, sounds great. He went, so in your own time. And I went, what? He goes, in your own time. I go, what? He goes, if you could. And I went, what? Do all that here on this X? He said, yeah. So then I start miming riding a camel, and I realize that my mime skills leave a lot to be desired. So I start trying to describe what I'm doing, and then realizing that my mouth is moving on camera, so I'm going to have to ventriloquize. So I go, I'm riding, I'm jumping, I'm doing, I'm sword fighting, and I get up, and I climb up and I hand her the chocolate. I give a little squint that's meant to make all of America orgasm. Give him the chocolate, and he goes, yeah, okay, thanks. And I leave, and I go straight to my agent's office, and I go, that's the last commercial I'm ever auditioning for. Thank you very much.
That was good. Hey, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really, really, truly love this film.
Oh, thanks, man. Listen, I think it's an amazing piece of work. I hope that people go and see it because it's worth seeing, and go and see it because it heralds the arrival of a major talent in Fran Kranz. He's really something special.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, and I hope to talk with you again soon.
Me too.
All right.
Bye.